Player housing in Final Fantasy XIV is a very big deal. A lot of players see this as a bit of a trophy symbol. The MSQ even rewards you with housing items, and many people like to display their creations and have a place to return home to, be that presently or in the future. In fact, people even subscribe to the game purely to reserve their housing, logging in occasionally between patch content they actually want to play, just to load into their house, make sure the demolition timer hasn't started, and then log out and pay their subscription. This is an active part of the player base, and the subscriber numbers are inflated because of it. Housing is incredibly limited in Final Fantasy XIV, with limited instances known as wards where these houses are available, and limited numbers of the sizes of house available, be that small plots, medium plots, or large plots. With the addition of apartments as well, this has also alleviated some of the issues, but not wholly, as a lot of people see an apartment as quite a limitation over something like a large plot, which would be in higher regard. Housing has been in this game since patch 2.1, and it's been a long, arduous journey with lots of ups and downs. People have complained previously about the placard system, where you would be frantically clicking a placard trying to purchase a house, as well as everybody else on that entire server, with a more recent move to a lottery-based system, which is not without its own controversies. It is quite a sought-after asset. Now, the thing that in 7.1 and beyond we're looking at is some new features. So first of all, we have something that's going to reform the way that we look at our housing, which is obviously interior changes. This is a new renovation system. As you can see from the recent letter from the producer live part 83, we saw a brief glimpse of patch 7.1's renovation system, which allows you to basically change the interior of your house to any other interior that would usually be locked to a different location. As said before, certain houses and certain sizes are only couple of the limitations. Another one of them is obviously location. A lot of people who want to have a house down by the sea in the mist are obviously going to have to fight against other people, and so some places are more required than others on people's lists. The totem pole of desire is very, very much a vertical thing, with a lot of the prettier places being at the top, and the goblet, until recently at least, being towards the bottom for a lot of people. So this is going to be a pretty big change. Apparently, you're going to be able to use the renovation system to completely change your interior to something else. If you have this, they're going to make it so that once you use the renovation system, all currently placed items get stored in storage, and presumably beyond the normal limitations of the storage that we have, and then you'll have to place them one by one and reformat your house. This is a big feature, but not the biggest feature. They say that it isn't in 7.1, but in the future that you'll be able to select the internal size of your house. So this is something they're working on to make it so that you can change this as often as you want for any limitation on size of house, but it will cost gil in relation to how much it would cost for you to purchase, for example, a large house. So in theory, you'd be able to walk into a small property, and inside it would have a large property space, which is quite a big change and should affect the way that housing is looked, especially considering a lot of people only go for large and mediums for that sole purpose. Not only do they have larger spaces to place items, but they have a larger limitation on items that can be placed. This is something that we talked about before, where Yoshi P even said, and I would find a direct quote, but I don't remember where it was said. It was either in an interview or during a previous live letter, that the future plans for having additional housing placement slots was going to be a thing, but this changes the whole thing altogether. Now, I don't know if this is going to be something they could eventually apply to apartments as well, considering they're saying that every internal area is essentially like another dimension, so they were thinking about why can't it be a large size inside regardless of the exterior. Maybe that's something we could see talked about in the future, but for now it just seems to be limited to housing itself. So every single housing slot on every single ward will now have increased value for players at the very least because of these changes. Now, they do say it would be unfair for players who fought to get that large plot for you to renovate and, so easily get a large size inside. So you would imagine that at least the price, from a small to a large would be accommodated for, or a medium to a large. And presumably you'd be able to go the other way as well. For whatever reason, you might be able to go from a large size plot to a small. I'm not sure why you would want to do that though, other than placement slot limitations. But yeah, this is a thing that's coming apparently in not this patch, not 7.1, but 1 or 2 more patches time, Yoshi P says. So this is something that's very exciting to me. Not only the idea that we can swap out our interiors, so if we like a specific design, like a Shirogane design interior, we can have that in the Mist, that kind of thing, or Ishgard interior, we can have that in wherever we live, like the Mist, for example. That's cool, but the idea of being able to change that interior to a completely different size kind of blows my mind. It doesn't really make sense why they haven't done this before. I know there have been various technical limitations, and housing probably hasn't been at the top of the list of priorities, which is understandable, but it is a big part of the game and a big part of the player base. As we've said, people subscribe specifically and exclusively to make sure they still have houses. One of the new things though is a new interior. They showed this off. So in addition to having the ability to swap your interiors, this is going to be one of the new interiors. They've listened to player feedback. A lot of people have said they don't want a housing interior to exist with pillars. A lot of people find these quite annoying to work around, using partitions to try and hide them or make rooms. Whereas this one specifically, in this example, they say multiple in the future. They don't mention just one. Will be a new interior that doesn't have any pillars. It's a more modernistic look, as you can see, and without the pillars it makes this space absolutely enormous for this large property. So I personally am excited for this. I don't know what everyone else thinks, but this is a really solid change, and especially the size increase thing. But if it does apply to apartments as well in the future, then a lot of people won't be as left out as I thought they would be. And hopefully they can increase the numbers of houses and wards available, especially with this new focus towards housing. A lot of people who have given up hope with housing before might look again, especially with the idea that they don't have to hunt for the large properties anymore. They can just go for any old small property and upgrade it in the future as they desire. Let me know what you think about this. I am very interested. A lot of housing aficionados will probably be, jumping for joy at this point. And if you are currently an owner of a small or large property or a medium property, let me know your thoughts on this. As somebody who obviously invested to get a large property for the FC, I'm very excited that other people will have that experience. And I also have a personal small for myself, so it'll be nice to renovate that and have the same liberties and expansion that you would expect from a larger property for my small space as well. But yeah, I have lots of hopes for this, and it's quite a cool change. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. More videos on the way for 7.1, Final Fantasy XIV, and gaming in general. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.